Buenas noches amigos de Tecnético.com, esto es Tecnético en Vivo desde el 2013 Mobile Showcase, un evento en el cual pues se busca presentar cuáles son estas 5 innovadoras ideas de Puerto Rico, especialmente diseñadas para móviles. Estamos en el Puerto Rico Science and Technology Trust, el lugar que el gobierno ha creado para precisamente incentivar lo que es el desarrollo de nuevas aplicaciones, de nuevas tecnologías, impulsar la creación de nuevas tecnologías para el mercado tanto local como para el mercado mundial. Yo soy Wilton Vargas y acompañado del equipo de Tecnético.com le estamos trayendo esta transmisión en exclusiva, la cual va a estar empezando ya en unos breves segundos. Y luego de esto, entonces, a las 9 de la noche, una vez termine este evento, pues entonces a las 9 de la noche pasamos con la transmisión también desde aquí, desde el Puerto Rico Science and Technology Trust de Tecnético en Vivo. Así que gracias por su sintonía, manténganse sintonizados durante todas estas próximas horas porque va a estar bien interesante y detrás de mí van a ocurrir las demostraciones de estas nuevas aplicaciones que incluyen pues, desde aplicaciones dirigidas pues para la seguridad con los niños hasta ayudar a que los comercios puedan obtener información de sus clientes de una manera más efectiva. En fin, 5 grandes ideas que entendemos que van a ser de gran impacto. Y este público que está aquí es un público que está pagando para poder estar aquí, estar presente, y dentro de las personas que están aquí, pues se entiende que están inversionistas, que son pues, personas que están dispuestas a invertir en el futuro del desarrollo de estas aplicaciones y de otras ideas que estos desarrolladores, estos jóvenes emprendedores, pues tienen y que buscan la forma de poder ponerlas en marcha. Va a estar esto bien interesante, son 5, repito, 5 ideas que ciertamente esperamos que causen mucho interés dentro de la comunidad de inversionistas aquí en Puerto Rico. Y precisamente ahora mismo están anunciando la transmisión, así que vamos a pasar con los moderadores del evento para que pues les inicie este viaje hacia la innovación desde San Juan, Puerto Rico, a través de Tecnético.com.
Un fuerte aplauso a Norma, que es uno de nuestros app developers, ha ganado premios internacionalmente, un tremendo desarrollador y es el que va a estar corriendo para esta presentación. Así que gracias. Eso es como para que no se olvide.
Bueno, buenas noches a todos. Como bien dice Robert, mi nombre es Norman Ortiz. Yo voy a estar hablándoles sobre el mobile market y aplicaciones móviles, tanto en Puerto Rico como en Estados Unidos. Yo soy el fundador y CEO de iGenApps, que es una aplicación móvil para que gente que no sabe nada de programación pueda crear sus propias aplicaciones móviles. Y también soy el fundador de este grupo que se llama foundingfounders.com, donde tenemos un grupo de gente allá, donde somos todos startups, que nos compartimos información y nos mantenemos siempre al día colaborando juntos para echar esto para adelante. Así que déjame empezar porque tengo que mencionar que las computadoras ya no son necesarias hoy en día. Ya sabemos que los equipos móviles son más poderosos de lo que eran las computadoras hace 10 años atrás. Y la gente lo utiliza más porque es accesible, es portátil, es poderoso y es simple de usar. Así que si ven ahí, tienen apps. Esto es, déjame ir a notas porque aquí se va a poner complicada la cosa. Con muchos datos lo que van a ver ahora. En el mercado de smart, ¿prefieren que alguien que hable inglés? Someone that only speak English? Yes, all right. I'm gonna switch to English. Smartphones are now more powerful. I mentioned this slide basically is telling that 48% of adults who don't want to own a PC, they don't consider having a computer, right? 28% think that it's too complicated for them, and only 6% consider that it's too expensive for them to own. The PC and iOS and Android sales in the US been growing even higher than the PCs since December of 2011, and probably none of us knew this, even myself. Wilton, ¿quieres que switche allá? Okay. All right. Okay. Está bien. El internet móvil a través de, perdóname, el internet a través de equipos móviles ya también sobrepasó el uso de internet a través de computadoras desktop en este mismo año. O sea que estamos viendo ya la utilización de internet y la compra de equipos móviles ya están sobrepasando a las computadoras desde hace un tiempo. Los equipos que se utilizan mayormente o como device principal, según la encuesta, es en el 2013 70.3% es a través de los equipos de teléfono, o no necesariamente tablets. Tablets está el 12%, y la utilización de internet a través de PC en la casa es un 62%. O sea que ya estamos viendo que la gente está utilizando más el teléfono para accesar al internet que la computadora en su casa. Esto es otro estudio que se hizo en el 2012 por Business Insider, y ahí ya ustedes ven que los smartphones en el 2012 es el doble prácticamente de lo que es las ventas de personal computer. ¿Okay? Voy a hablar ahora un poco más en detalle de la evolución de los equipos móviles. En Puerto Rico hay 3.1 millones de teléfonos, ¿okay? Más teléfonos que yo creo que adultos. Y en el mundo hay 6.8 billones de teléfonos, ¿ok? Billones, con B. Esto es una segmentación de todas por lo menos los países más importantes, más relevantes, cuánto ha sido la penetración de los equipos, de los teléfonos en general. No estoy hablando todavía de smartphones, de los teléfonos. Y vemos que en South Korea casi todo el mundo tiene un teléfono, 99%. En Estados Unidos todavía 94%. En Puerto Rico estamos como en un 97%. No estoy seguro si sale aquí, pero tenemos más teléfonos que lo que tienen en Estados Unidos las personas. Y sin embargo en India y en China todavía, que tienen muchísima más población, tienen todavía 89% y 81% de penetración. En Puerto Rico, el 78% de la gente que tiene teléfonos son smartphones, el 78% en este año. Se espera que para el año que viene, 89% de la gente que tiene teléfonos, obviamente celulares, sean ya smartphones, en el 89%. Eso es Puerto Rico. Ahora, en el mundo, la penetración mundial, fíjense que el que más tiene, Singapur, tiene menos que nosotros. O sea, eso quiere decir que nosotros utilizamos y adoptamos más rápido el smartphone que en otros países. Y esto fue de este mismo quarter que pasó, tercer quarter del 2013. El mobile market a nivel mundial, el market share, los smartphones todavía están en un 24% a nivel mundial. ¿Qué quiere decir eso? Que todavía hay mucho por correr y mucho por desarrollar y muchas aplicaciones para que le sirvan a mucha gente en el mundo entero. Todavía 24% nada más en el mundo es muy poca gente. En Puerto Rico, el market share domina Android. Ahora ha crecido mucho más en el 2013, 62%. El iPhone bajó un poco, bajó un punto porcentual a 27%. Siguen siendo la de mayor dominancia Android y iPhone. En Estados Unidos es un poco diferente. Ahí ven que el Android tiene 53% y el iPhone tiene 40%. Están un poco más cerca los equipos iPhone que del Android. A nivel mundial, lo que aparece en blanco son equipos de iOS y lo que está en verde son Androids.
Ahí ustedes pueden ver cómo en Francia hay más utilización de iOS, en Australia hay más utilización de iOS, en Inglaterra, en Estados Unidos y en Japón. Esto es sistema operativo, que no es lo mismo que presenté en el slide anterior, que era solamente smartphone. Esto es OS. Eso incluye iPods y iPads. Ok. Las marcas. Aquí ustedes ven estos datos de Estados Unidos. Apple tiende a ser la marca número 1 de preferencia en Estados Unidos versus ya sea Samsung, HTC, Motorola, LG y demás. Por edades, si se dan cuenta, South Korea de nuevo tiene un 85%, son los más altos entre las edades de 16 a 34 años. Y seguido por China, Australia, Inglaterra, y en el medio de ese color verde es Estados Unidos. O sea que también todavía tenemos mucho, por lo menos Estados Unidos tiene mucho por correr todavía. Voy a hablar ahora un poco de las tablets. En Estados Unidos se hizo una encuesta con consumidores y el 47% de la gente entiende que va a comprarse una iPad. A diferencia de una tableta de Amazon, el 7%. O sea que básicamente cualquier consumidor en Estados Unidos, la mitad, uno te va a decir que la quiere y otro te va a decir que no, casi un 50%. En el market share entre Estados Unidos y Canadá de utilización de Internet, tráfico de Internet a través de equipos tablet, si se dan cuenta, predomina por mucho a través de las iPads, el Internet a través de las iPads versus, por ejemplo, un Kindle Fire, una Galaxy Tablet, una Nexus Tablet y demás. Y si ven por allá es que están la Microsoft Surface y demás, que yo esperaría que eso creciera más, pero todavía. Estos fueron los primeros 10 quarters de lanzamiento de cada producto. O sea, tienen que verlo no como un calendario, sino cuando lanzó el iPhone hace 5 o 6 años atrás, los primeros 10 quarters, ese fue su crecimiento en venta. Cuando la iPad salió, que fueron como 3 años luego, esos próximos 10 quarters, miren cuán rápido la gente adoptó el comprar las iPads. 3 veces, básicamente, la compra del iPhone cuando salió. Voy a hablar ahora un poco de la parte de apps en particular, la generación apps. Puerto Rico tiene el uso de Internet, como les mencioné, el 75% en el 2013 y se espera 88% para el 2014. Los apps se utilizan un 80% versus browsear el Internet en el equipo móvil, que es un 20% de la utilización en general. Mayormente para Facebook y para juegos es que utilizan los apps. Los apps que la gente, esto es Puerto Rico, la gente baja mayormente aplicaciones, 85% para uso de entretenimiento, ya sean juegos, videos, el 40% para música, 27% para las redes sociales, ya sea Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, y el 18% para leer las noticias. 21 horas a la semana invierte en promedio el puertorriqueño en equipos móviles. 21 horas a la semana. 81% de ese tiempo lo invierte con texto, 75% utilizando el Internet y 38% tomando y compartiendo fotos. ¿Qué es lo que la gente en Puerto Rico está comprando a través de Internet? Esto es ahora online. El 35% compra equipos electrónicos, 30% libros, 26 tickets, 25 autos, o sea, cosas de carros, y el 23% de ropa. ¿Dónde lo están haciendo? Pues miren, la PC, miren cómo ha ido bajando. En el 2013 hubo una reducción de un 6% a través de PC y hubo un incremento de un 15% a través del teléfono. La gente está usando el teléfono ahora para comprar. Y de las tablets subió también un 5%. Y eso va a seguir pasando. O sea que necesitamos más apps que hagan ese tipo de transacciones más fácil para el usuario. A nivel de GPS, aplicaciones que utilizan el geolocation, la mayoría de estas aplicaciones se encuentran, el 19% se encuentran en China y el 17% en la India. Perdóname, en Brasil. en Brasil. Son los países, bueno, también sí, Brasil, India y China son los 3 países, ambos tienen 17%, que utilizan más o tienen aplicaciones que son más para uso de GPS. En Estados Unidos, si se fijan, tiene un 10% nada más. También hay mucho que se puede hacer todavía. Y nosotros pensábamos que Estados Unidos tenía muchas aplicaciones de GPS como Foursquare y demás. Hay todavía otras cosas por hacer. Esto es un dato bien impresionante. En este año, 26 billones de dólares se hicieron en los diferentes App Stores. Ya sea el color azul son paid apps, o sea, el costo de la aplicación. El in-app purchase es el color rojo y el verde es advertising. ¿Ok? Así que miren cuánto dinero produce las aplicaciones móviles. Y se espera ya que para el 2016, que eso es a ley de 3 años, 2 años más, 59 billones. O sea que eso va a seguir creciendo. Así que betting on apps is a wise idea. En este momento es lo que está bullante, ¿ok? Le voy a hablar bien rapidito sobre las diferencias que existen a nivel de aplicaciones nativas y aplicaciones que son web, ¿ok? Las aplicaciones web y nativas pueden lucir y parecer muy parecidas si se hacen bien programadas, pero tienen unas diferencias. Las que son web tienden a ser más fácil el desarrollo, cuesta menos tiempo el desarrollarlo, obviamente es más económico, son el más fácil y rápido de publicarlas porque no requieren aprobación de nadie, ni de Apple, ni de Android, ni de Windows, ni de nadie. Puedes usar el GPS, son mayormente utilizadas para aplicaciones que proveen contenido, ya sea una aplicación de noticias, de un blog o de un negocio, un restaurante y demás. Son multiplataformas, eso es lo más importante que tiene el ser web, que tú puedes utilizar cualquier device, no solamente tienen que ser de Apple o de Android o de Windows, todos los equipos, si está bien programado, pueden hacer uso de la misma aplicación en todos los devices. No puedes monetizar la aplicación con un costo, porque es una aplicación que es web-based, pero sí puedes tener advertising, sí puedes tener in-app purchases y sí puede correr offline, o sea que no necesariamente vas a depender de tener internet. En el caso de las nativas, se utilizan mayormente cuando son cosas que requieren la utilización del hardware, el equipo del teléfono, ya sea la cámara, el Bluetooth, el acelerómetro, el que haga shake y también el GPS, obviamente. Sí son más rápidas en performance, también corren en offline mode si no requieren ir a buscar información al exterior, a una base de datos que esté en otro lugar. Y se usan mayormente para cosas complicadas o aplicaciones o juegos complicados. Se puede monetizar también de igual manera con in-app purchases, se puede comprar y cobrar por el costo de la aplicación y también tiene advertising. En conclusión, el mobile está creciendo, las apps son tremenda oportunidad de negocio, iOS y Android están liderando el mercado y las aplicaciones pueden ser tanto nativas como web. Existen esos dos sabores y quería pues que supieran las diferencias. Así que muchas gracias y ahora los voy a dejar con Ramfis.
Give me a call later, Antonio. All right, let's try this again. Here we go. All right. So again, welcome. Actually, Norman wanted me to go over some of the basics around differences around accredited and credit and accredited investors. And sorry, the reason I'm going to go in English, I actually recognize some friends, English native speakers in the room, and angel investors and others around that don't have access to fluent Spanish as most of us do. All right. So, oh, you can't flip it, Norman. All right. So some of the things we want to go over are a little bit of context on what's going on sort of locally, and then sort of discuss a little bit around the differences between obviously accredited or non-accredited for those that are hearing about what accredited investors or investing is for the very first time. And then for those that are non-accredited, what does that mean and sort of what options are there if you would at some point be interested in engaging in what Norman just mentioned in terms of the app environment. So in myself, my background, is in computer engineering. I'm a licensed computer engineer. I'm also a lawyer, intellectual property, a bunch of stuff. So I'm a partner at TEDx Management. So we manage talent all over the world, offices in New York and Silicon Valley. Co-founder starts Puerto Rico. We engage in a lot of community building work. So we run programs, entrepreneurship-related programs such as Startup Weekends, Founder Institute, Startup Weekend Next, all around creating a pipeline for creating startups on the island and connecting startups with startup communities all over the world. So we recently had a trip with some of the local startups to New York, where they pitched to sort of global, sort of world-class investors like Bob Dorff, KJ Singh from Techstars, and a lot of others, essentially to enable and facilitate that conversation between the Puerto Rico startup community, the New York investor community. The reason being, Puerto Rico is dead last in terms of capital investment, and from all 50 states, including territories, Commonwealth, et cetera. Whereas New York is around third, with around $2.3 billion worth of investing VC money going into startups. So if the money's not here, startups in Puerto Rico sort of operates under the assumption you go where the money is. And then director of the Founder Institute, which is a 4-month incubation acceleration program. It's like a founding school. And it operates, its HQ is in Silicon Valley, operates in 55 cities around the world. So anywhere from Paris, Berlin, different cities in Singapore, et cetera, where we've helped create over 1,000 companies. One of the main stories for the New York Times this last week was around the Founder Institute. With the reason it matters is because companies that go through the Founder Institute on average worldwide have a 90%, close to 90% survival rate after 3 years, right? So it's inverted in terms of the failure rate. We can see that with some of the companies that we'll present. Norman is a graduate. We have some graduates in the room. And it also facilitates job creation around the world. So some of the companies I've been involved with locally, there's an advisor, mentor, investor, founder are on the map: Blim, Keynote Star, Memory Palace, others. And some of these sort of early success stories of some of the companies are, you might have heard of them locally, around Kai Labs, right? So these are students that come from the public school system, have no money, no contacts, no Ivy League schooling, and then went to school, University of Puerto Rico, Maya Wiz Computer Engineering Program, which is my program, my alma mater, and I've been sort of investing a lot of time in identifying talent there for a while, and they were able to secure $75K for starters. They're up and running around $125K to actually build out a chip with contacts from all over the world. The Bluetooth chip that they integrated is from Nordic Semiconductor. Nordic Semiconductor is a friend based on the startup weekends that we manage over there. So some of the relationships that have been enabled have allowed Kai Labs and others to raise money very easily. But why is that? Why are they able to do that? So students with no contacts are able to start a company and actually make money essentially out of thin air, essentially engaging the global markets. And the reason is that the cost to launch an internet tech startup, specifically mobile companies, more specifically, have dropped dramatically, right? So they say things around like the $5 million, $50,000 or $5,000 is the new sort of $5 million. So to start a company, and let me be clear in this distinction, to start a company has gone down, right? So if you need servers, you use technologies like Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, Google App Engine, and a lot of different technologies that are out there for free for everyone to use based on different programs or whatnot. So anyone with a laptop connected to the internet with the right tools and the right community can essentially start. But it still takes money to scale, right? That hasn't changed. But it does enable a lot more companies to be formed, a lot more people all over the world trying, because it's really now down to what investors have long known. It's around sort of a team and really the execution of those ideas more so than can you build the technology? Can you actually build it? Would it work or not? It's really more a market risk than a technology risk. So the cost to launch have gone way down, right? Anyone with a laptop connected to the internet can actually start a company. And part of that really opens up a huge opportunity for investors to actually sort of understand and see where sort of next big waves or big trends can sort of come in and allow them that opportunity. So really it's around why now, right? So why is now sort of different from, early tech bubble 2001, early crash of 2008. And it really requires less capital to build a product and to get to market. The reasons, well, some of which I've mentioned, and then other quick things are around the access to platforms that exist today that didn't exist before, right? So distribution platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, social media in general allows you for access to hundreds of millions of users if you get it right? It's not free, right? It's cheap. It's not free. And that means it just takes a lot of work, but if you get it right and you create something that people want, the internet and the platform allows people to find you, right? And you can see that in things like, who's here play maybe Candy Crush, right? Like sort of one of these games, super addictive, and they really, the way they sort of invest their money is really around acquiring more users, right? So it's a skip. And then the other big opportunity is that there are very few big IPOs going on, right? So the Twitters and the Pandoras and the Facebooks, those things in general, and there's discussion around this, are things from the past. What has gone up is there are a lot more acquisitions going on. So the sort of corporate VC sort of investment side, and really bigger companies that have sort of full-on innovation arms, full-on corporate investment arms, sort of Google Ventures and others, Microsoft accelerators, all these programs have spread out all over the world to identify the best talents from these companies that are just sort of small teams with some product, early traction. So that opens up a very big opportunity and really mitigates a lot of risk for very great teams, for investors, because the path to exit is clearer, right? So how do you make your money back is clearer than before, where you essentially didn't know. And the other really big thing that has changed is really the availability of metrics to review progress. So before, if you're an investor, it's really about who you know, kind of the team, you do some kind of due diligence, kind of figure out what's going on. But really, you really have no real way to know if the company is growing on the metrics that matter month over month, how is that gonna work, et cetera. And now there are things that facilitate the access to that information, specifically AngelList, Distimo, and others, which we sort of go over. But one of the key game changers around data for investing around startups is around Mattermark, right? The idea around big data and data science to gather all these different market signals, but now applied to startups. And another key element is the lean startup. So for those of you hearing lean startup for the first time, that's essentially the way things operate for management. Think of it as management, but for startups, right? We now know that startups and small companies are not smaller versions of big companies. They operate on a whole different, and they require a whole different set of management skill sets around managing the process for lean startups. These are customer development, growth hacking, managing the business model canvas, and a lot of other things which might sound new to many of you, but it's just the fact of life for startups. Startups know this, and startups that go through programs around the world like accelerators, incubators like Founders Institute, startup weekends, all over the world, they are exposed to these new sort of management skill set, which enables more data to be created. And the way it works is that they're focused on the search for a business model, and that search is focused on iterative product and marketing decisions that are based on measured user behavior. So instead of saying, oh, we're gonna go this way for how we're gonna build our company, based on real data, that's how you decide to move one way or the other for your company. So this data-driven startup idea is something that, again, from the investor side, mitigates a lot of risk. It can tell you, if you know what you're looking for, you'll still fail, we'll go over those, but it'll allow you to select, we got it. Select companies that are on the sort of the right path. And this, for example, is Distimo. So for example, let's say you're approached by someone with some kind of app, you say it's really great, etc. You can actually estimate the traction for that app using Distimo, right? So Distimo will give you a sort of average downloads, suggested revenue, so you can actually see how that app is performing in the real market with real data. Then you also have things like exit round coming out. This is sort of very new out of Silicon Valley. We had a chance to meet up with Jacob, and you actually had a chance to meet Jacob as well on our last trip. It's really around the idea that startups are on a sort of trend. Not everyone's going to go for the big IPO because Smaller exits around the 20, 30, 40, 50, $60 million range are really life-changing for a lot of young entrepreneurs. So why not essentially evaluate those opportunities? So the idea of managing that process for a startup and having that be sort of something they think about as part of their sort of potential exits is something that is sort of kinds of services that are coming up now. And you have things, that they come up as a new thing, but you have very quickly hundreds of companies, really big companies, those corporate investment arms I was telling you about, very interested in engaging Jacob and others to sort of have access to these companies that are innovating in the space that they might need. Innovation in a whole bunch of areas, from healthcare to mobile apps to you name it. There's some small startup or research company doing technology transfer. There's just a lot going on out there. And things like Exiting Round and others sort of help big companies navigate those waters. I think you jumped one of my slides, or maybe it comes later. Anyways, so around accredited investors, so who can invest? So this is very clear, very tricky, right? Securities Exchange Commission, securities law can get really complicated really fast. So we're not gonna go into all of that. Anything you do around real sort of accredited investor, consult with your lawyer, all these standard caveats kind of thing. But essentially, to be able to invest and be sort of exempt to a lot of different requirements, you have to, on your own personal assets, be worth over $1 million, excluding your house, so your house doesn't count. Or you should have made over the past 2 years, $200K a year, and have a reasonable expectation to actually be able to generate that same amount of revenue, sort of salary or whatnot, over the current year. And it goes up to $300K if it's with your spouse. So if this is you, right, and those rules apply to you, then you can invest in more of the more traditional, sort of what we call sort of investing, right, in terms of equity-based investments. We're not going to go into the different kinds of investments in terms of convertible equity, or debt, et cetera, but really it's around those options are open to you, and there are a lot of platforms that allow you to have access to those with very little sort of time investments on your part, right? Things like AngelList, which we'll go over, WeFunder, Rock the Post. There are a lot of equity crowdfunding platforms that have opened up based on the Jobs Act, right? So there were recent changes that allows anyone that's an accredited investor have access to thousands and thousands of companies that they can view, and all their information, or their due diligence information is available for investors to actually look through and see not just the company, but really also see who is also investing, what are the metrics for these companies. So there's a lot of platforms that open up a whole host of opportunities for these accredited investors. And part of it is, how do you do it? So this is sort of the 500 startups sort of way of doing it. 500 startups is this sort of great accelerator out of Silicon Valley, and their view is around what I was mentioning, sort of more Moneyball sort of investing, right? So Moneyball is this movie where it's around what's the data that you're looking for to build the proper teams. Same principles apply to investing on the very low end of the seed stage startups. So really small companies that are just starting out, how does that work? And the way they do it is generally they invest 30% of their capital goes to a lot of very small bets. So these are $50,000 bets on their end, but for angel investors using AngelList, now it could be as small as $1,000, right? So $1,000 in a lot of different companies so that you can sort of be there, but then you double down on the winners because you're tracking their performance month over month, or every quarter, or every 6 months, just like you would public investing, but then you have access to this information, and then you double down on the winners, right? So you expect to lose on average right up to sort of 80% of your investments, but then those that have the metrics, which we now have a better sense of what those metrics are for different verticals and a lot of different areas, you can just sort of double down and do that. And they've been quite successful at it. And the model has been sort of copied over and over. That's not me, right? Okay. Oh, there we go. So, and then another of the tools that's available, which I was sort of mentioning, is Mattermark. So Mattermark is essentially what it says: big data meets VC.
And it's essentially accesses all the public information available from all these startups, but then a lot of the private information that the startups themselves share on their app performance, on their metrics for Twitter, Facebook, likes, growth, mentions. There's a lot of information out there on the internet about a different set of companies. And the way that's measured is that they create a sort of proprietary sort of watermark score, but they have a whole bunch of information that you can have access to. Not just sort of who's the investing, where they're located, what's their growth month over month. There's just a lot of data that Mattermark gives you as part of what they offer. And then you can also view what the other firms are doing, right? So if you have a certain inclination as an investor, then you can view what other companies are investing, other VC firms or angel groups are investing in, and you say, hey, these guys invest the same sort of way, same sort of companies that I do, so I'm just gonna follow what they're doing, and again, view. So it's a very easy way for you guys to sort of learn what other people are doing or others that are interested in things that you're interested in to be exposed to those, right? So you wanna follow consumer investing VC firms, and you can see what are the companies, what were their profiles, what's the watermark information around them, and then you can sort of teach yourself or with peers or others, you can sort of go over on a data-driven style, sort of have a better sense of what's going on in the market. There we go, right? And then another way to do it is that instead of before, you'd have to, if you want to invest, you want to invest with others, you would create these groups or firms, a lot of different vehicles. Now you don't need any of that. You can just go to AngelList yourself and create a syndicate. So if you are going to invest in a company and you want your friends to invest with you, you can just set up a syndicate, say, I'm going to invest in whatever, IGNAP to say something. We're going to go for 50K. You put in 10%, and then you get that 10 to 20% carry based on that investment. And all of this is sort of automated over AngelList, and it's sort of very straightforward. But it sort of obviously gets way better because you might not know what you're doing, you might not know, sort of what the best to invest, but now, based on the changes in regulation from the Jobs Act, you can see what actually Kevin Rose, Google Ventures partner, is investing himself, and then you can invest with him. With Tim Ferriss, Dave Morin, Jason Calacanis. So these are sort of world-class angel investors, proven over and over that they obviously miss, but they also know sort of what to look for, and they have sort of a lot of access to help these companies. So they've opened up their own deals out based on syndicate, because the money they make is a 10, 20% carry to everyone that's an accredited investor, right? And this is on AngelList. All this stuff is available, open, for free. You don't have to pay anyone anything to have access to this kind of deal flow. So this is all global, happening right now. And then, let's go back. Or not. All right, forward. All right, so that's sort of the brief overview for accredited. So if you're accredited, sort of life is good, right? You have a lot of more data now, a lot of new tools, a lot of things to actually go out there. You can view what other people are doing. People with way more experience than the Puerto Rico sort of investor market we have access to historically, et cetera. So there's just a lot more opportunity to sort of go and meet with peers, go to Angel Capital Association, go travel, go meet up, et cetera. All this information is available through the internet, which now you can view, and it's available for everyone. And then for non-accredited, that just means there are a lot of sort of very complicated reasons why if you don't meet that $1 million asset and $200,000 salary, there are a lot of reasons, complicated reasons why you can't invest. Startups, actually advise it's sort of very risky for a lot of different reasons. It's very complicated, but that doesn't mean there aren't sort of other kinds of vehicles where you don't have sort of the risk, let's say, of an accredited investor, and it's sort of outside sort of SEC regulations. It's sort of not other kinds of regulations, where essentially you can sort of loan money to companies that need money to to grow or to operate. So Prosper is essentially sort of, think of it as sort of crowdfunding, but for loans, right? So it's just like a regular loan. You loan someone money, someone agrees to pay you back, X amount percent, which I can guarantee you will be way more than whatever bank you have right now on anything you might have in there. Then you have the same sort of risk profiles as if you have a bank, right? So these guys, they review sort of credit histories and a bunch of the same data the banks use to assess credit decisions. You have the same access to the same data. So that's why it goes from 6.73 to 35 point whatever, right? So if you go for the 35%, you probably lose your money, right? The way it works is what's it called? So when they just don't pay, right? So they might go into default, and you have all this other risk associated. But you might go for 6.73, AA, 800 points, credit rating, and you might want to get in on that. Maybe you have 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is, just sort of making 0.03% interest in an account, and you can just sort of go for that. That's Prosper. Then there's Lending Club, same thing, but then it also enables, put some of your 401k or IRAs in there, right? So not just sort of straight up cash, you can go for things that, again, are not making you any money anyways, and put it in things that will actually have a better chance of making some of your money, right? So with everything, always consult your lawyer, there's a lot of risks, all this other stuff, but really it's around, it's available for you if you're not an accredited investor. But then if, all this is still too high in terms of risk profile, you can go for Kiva. Kiva, you can start as, as low as $25 a loan, but it's a micro loan program, global micro loan program, where the people you're investing in are really around alleviating poverty, right? So these are micro loans, $300, $400 loans that are given to, single mother families out in the middle of India to sort of buy a washing machine so they can start a washing machine business, right? So this is a real deal. You can watch TED Talks on it. It is really awesome. And one of the key things around this is that repayment rates for microloan is through the roof, right? So this is historical repayment rate for, it's not on this slide, but they've loaned hundreds of millions of dollars all over the world, repayment rate around 99%. So there's essentially it's pretty much nothing out there if you're like non-accredited that you can actually put money into, give you money back in that way with those kinds of numbers. And then there's apps funders, which goes more to the heart of mobile investing. So if you want to actually go into investing into mobile apps, like Norman mentioned, then this is around revenue share, right? So instead of getting money for equity, what you get back is whatever money the app makes, you make. So that works for a lot of people. And then sort of in closing, the reason all of this stuff matters, whether you're an accredited investor or non-accredited investors, is that all jobs are created by startups, period, right? So the data is super clear. You can read the Kauffman Foundation documents around it. So anything else that you think you're doing to actually help the economy is wrong. It's really around helping new companies get started. So this is new firms, not small firms. So this is not small companies, it's new companies. So anything you do to actually help them actually directly affects the economy because they are the ones creating all the jobs. Not some of the jobs, all of the jobs. All right. And finally, some final thoughts around it. Really investing, you gotta spend time on it. Go for things you gotta really learn about what's out there, things like this, events like this and others, just really getting sort of involved around it. Get to know and understand the different kinds of models, what's out there. And then obviously seek out and engage peers. This is obviously a great forum. Most of you might not know each other. Please sort of don't leave without actually, engaging and say, hey, what are you up to? What are you invested in? Whatever kinds of conversations. This is what's supposed to say if you can't invest, if you can't invest, open doors for doers, right? So if you're sort of talking with people that are sort of have this sort of passion, they're trying to get it done, and they're sort of focused, again, hell and high water, trying to get a company going. If you can't invest, you might know someone that might be interested in, or it doesn't have to be about money, maybe sort of advice, or maybe customers, or maybe a bunch of other things. So if you can't help them out sort of with money, do what you can to sort of help them out in terms of opening doors for doers. And obviously there's a lot going on in the community, which is very easy to track. If you go to startupsofpuertorico.com, there are events every week around a lot of different things all over the island. So it's sort of the easiest way to sort of keep track and see what things interest you, what don't interest you, etc. And then you sort of keep up to date on a lot of different things that are going on. So I think that's all I got. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, no. This is one key thing. One last thing. And then Moneyball for Startups. So there's a great presentation on that. I'll actually leave it up a few minutes, maybe like a minute or so that you kind of write it down. So it has a slide around 500 startups' own sort of investment strategy for everything. So this is the key thing of the new world, is that all the information is open. So this idea of kind of proprietary deal flow and all this secrecy and all this other crap is really kind of the way of the past. Now it's really around trust. Who do startups trust to give them money? It's not just about money. Money is sort of very accessible if you're a good startup. And that's sort of the future of it. So it's your job as people interested in investing to actually sort of build that reputation, your reputation as a good investor for startups. So it's sort of the other way around. Instead of startups interviewing with you for money, it's really you interviewing with them for the chance to actually be part of their deal. And then there are 3 books that might help you sort of get a better sense of what's going on. Venture Deals, it's really around everything sort of mentioned in terms of equity deal terms and sort of term sheets and a lot of different very technical aspects, which you'd have to pay a lawyer a ton of money to kind of brief you on. There's a book about it. And then there's Little Bets. It actually has demos for a lot of the documents that you'll see in equity-based deals, and actually has a breakdown, and it's just phenomenal. Then Little Bets is around what I was mentioning on sort of how does that sort of investment sort of model works, how to actually review sort of on small bets and then sort of double down on others. And then the Lean Startup, which sort of gives you an overview, not just what startups are doing, but actually really big corporations worldwide are doing to spur and foster their innovation engine, which is really their growth engine, right? So it's now not just, talk about innovation. It's really around growth for big corporate companies, and Lean Startup and Eric Ries are leading that part of the conversation. So with that, I think it's up to you. We're going to go, is there like Q&A? No.
Thank you very much. Gracias, Ramfis. Excelente. Wow. Gracias, éxito. Excelentes herramientas, excelente información. Ahora vamos a comenzar directamente con las presentaciones. ¿Qué nos toca ahora? ¿Cuál tenemos en el schedule aquí? Bueno, yo creo que muchos de estos tools, de estas herramientas que vimos ahora son excelentes y algunos de nosotros tomamos nota y muchos de ellos no sabía de esta información. ¿Vamos a tener parte de esta información dentro de Startup también, de la página web? Perfecto. Pues muy bien. Bueno, ahora vamos a presentar al equipo de Mojo Tax, que va a estar hablando sobre su presentación. Voy a dejar a su gerente, que va a estar hablando un poco sobre el tema, así que vamos rápido a esto.
Buenas, Efraín Saavedra, trabajo con Mojo Tax, tenemos a Joe Spiteri aquí, fundador y CEO de la compañía, tenemos varios de la compañía por acá, me parece que está el señor Amato, está Albert Santos que trabaja con nosotros, y felicito a Norman porque ha podido llevar a cabo este gathering, ¿no? de personas de la industria y no industria, en la cual nos estamos moviendo ya, se puede decir, a diario, en estas iniciativas interactivas, ya sea móvil, tableta o online. Mojo Tax básicamente es una aplicación que le decimos un multimedia reader. Cuando comenzamos con Mojo Tax, desde el 2006-2007, lo que hacíamos era leer QR codes, por no decir UPC codes, que fue lo que generó el reconocimiento de imagen en la industria. Los QR codes solo llevaban a un destino. Me acuerdo que empezó BlackBerry, que era el smartphone de aquellos momentos, y seguimos desarrollándolo. Nuestra primera iniciativa en cuanto a comercialización de la aplicación en su principio fue con Sony en la película District 9 en el 2008-2009 en Puerto Rico. Fue el primer QR code comercializado, monetizado en la isla. Me acuerdo que fue, me parece que en primera hora, que pusieron un QR code que casi no se veía, era cuando estaba el primer iPhone en el mercado. Y aún así hubo 500 lecturas de ese QR code sin haber un call to action decente, era para ver el trailer de la película solamente. Y de ahí seguimos mejorando el app. Joe siguió con su iniciativa. ¿Qué sucede? Hay unas aplicaciones que, vamos a decir, le escanean el audio o reconocen audio, ustedes las conocen muchas de ellas. Hay otras que ven realidad aumentada y hay otras que reconocen los QR codes. En este caso, Mojo Tax reconoce imagen, audio, video y los QR codes normales, por no decir UPC codes también, o barcodes. A ver si esto funciona. Como ustedes ven, hay una faceta en lo que es reconocimiento de imagen y entran los QR codes y es la protección de marca. Protección de marca es que puede haber un producto el cual nosotros aseguramos que cuando se vaya a escanear nos diga si es falso o es el genuino. Y en eso estamos trabajando con las farmacéuticas ahora mismo a nivel internacional. Tenemos algo bien interesante que se llama el Mojo Touch, que es a nivel de que una caja puede interaccionar nada más que colocarla en una superficie de reconocimiento de tacto y te lleve a un destino. Eso lo vamos a ver en un momento. Y entonces tenemos el Mojo Tag, que es lo que reconoce audio, sonido. Todo esto sería muy bueno si nos puede dar la información de quién, cuándo, cómo y dónde se utiliza, pues nosotros la damos también. Y eso es lo que nos diferencia de lo que está allá afuera. En este caso, tenemos 5 minutos, así que voy a ser breve. Pues con Mojo Tag podemos ver reconocer visual, audio, pictures, que no son reconocibles a mera vista. De hecho, Joe estuvo en la Casa Blanca, ¿no? White House, Joe, porque estábamos cotejando también cómo codificar los billetes. En vez de estar usando el bolígrafo y estar marcando, con ver el celular te puede decir si el billete es o no genuino. Esto es lo que estamos hablando del Mojo Touch. Imagínense que tienen un plan médico y necesitan la información el médico o necesitan la información en la misma oficina. En vez de estar haciendo esa línea o esa cola, ustedes van y presentan su tarjeta e interacciona automáticamente en el iPad de la persona que está ahí con la aplicación. Si tenemos que cambiar que en vez de Juan Pérez tiene una cubierta de $100, tiene $150, en real time se puede cambiar y esa persona no tiene que enviar hacia atrás la tarjeta, que le llegue en 2 semanas, etcétera. O sea, estamos hablando que esto es interactivo real time. O sea, son unas tarjetas que se utilizan tanto, se puede hacer para comercializarse, o sea, promoción, mercadeo o también seguridad. Así que son varias, esto es relativamente nuevo, se le llama, yo le digo tinta digital, tinta interactiva. Así que, y obviamente lo que le estábamos hablando de las estadísticas, de tener la información de lo que se genera cuando se interactúa con lo que es Mojo Tags. Nos puede dar el gender, o sea, se puede dar sexo, zip code, hora, fecha e inclusive lugar. Así que eso es parte de lo que incluimos. Esto está interesante porque a veces me funciona y a veces no. Nosotros ahora mismo podemos, por ejemplo, dar un ejemplo. Vamos acá. A ver si se... Tengo sombra, espérate. Ahí está leyendo y nos lleva a un destino. O sea, esto me puede llevar a 5 destinos. Me puede llevar, por ejemplo, en este caso me puede llevar a la página de internet, a la página de Facebook, Twitter, el cupón, el video de promoción. 5 destinos en un toque. O sea que maximiza no tan solo la inversión de la marca, sino que también maximiza la interacción que tenemos con esto que dormimos con, o sea, interaccionamos casi todo el tiempo. Ya casi lo ponemos en Bluetooth en la ducha, lo conectamos y lo oímos. Así que déjame seguir aquí ahora. Básicamente, Norma, se me apagó el reloj. Básicamente, pues, con Mojo Tags podemos interaccionar lo que es social media, radio y televisión, las tiendas. Ahora mismo nosotros empezamos en Puerto Rico con Triple S, hacer reconocimiento de imagen. Tenemos un demo de que se hizo una página, reconocía la página de Triple S y lo llevaba al YouTube channel donde daban una charla, 50 maneras de vivir mejor. Hicimos un test, de hecho este jueves, con Fidelity, que fue como prueba, en el cual reconocíamos el comercial y lo llevábamos a un concurso en el cual se podían ganar un reloj. Y estamos haciendo un partnership, ya lo tenemos, en el cual vamos a estar reconociendo el video o el programa de televisión. Lo tenemos de 2 maneras, lo reconocemos en el televisor o lo reconocemos por audio. Así que esto nos da a nosotros una ventaja en la cual obviamente tenemos un mensaje en radio, prensa y televisión, pero cómo interaccionamos. Ahí automáticamente le damos el call to action y la persona ya sea llama, click to call, interactúa en el concurso en ese mismo momento o lo puede share o compartir en su social network. Ahora mismo nosotros estamos generando nuevas aplicaciones. Estamos en México, ya hablamos con un estudio de película, vamos a hacer un test en México. En Puerto Rico estamos más de lleno porque la compañía es local y estamos haciendo partnership con diferentes iniciativas, agencias de publicidad, gobierno y educativo. Hay una vertical bien interesante que es con Moyotac, se puede hacer interactivo los libros. Ya nosotros tuvimos 2 reuniones en las cuales los niños pueden estar leyendo el libro, escanear el contenido y automáticamente darle un feedback a los maestros. O sea, todo esto está en el poder del celular. Si me quedan 41 segundos, 40. Las preguntas y respuestas va a ser con Joe, el hombre que generó todo esto, pero ahora mismo estamos en un momento bien interesante en el cual el teléfono ya pasó a ser de la tercera pantalla a la primera, y que es el método de estar conectado todo el tiempo a los diferentes medios. Así que ya con esto completo rapidito, fue breve, así que los dejo con Joseph Spiteri para la pregunta y respuesta. Joe. Question and answer.
Okay. I'm very happy to be here tonight. I hope Efrain did a good job, because I didn't understand a word he said. So I just want to thank everybody for coming, and if you have any interest in investing in the company, we have representatives from the company who can answer any questions. Just bear in mind that we have the application on both iPhone and Android, and I have some hardware here that we can demonstrate, the Mojo Touch app, if anybody's interested after the other presentations. Thank you very much. Any questions? Ralph? I'd be happy. We only have 5 minutes to do our presentation, so if you want, we could do it afterwards, but this is the end. Thank you.
Sorry, one question?
Sure.
Did you guys do the recognition engine in-house?
The image recognition is done outside.
Okay. And does it do variable recognition, or does the recognize, does the image that's going to be recognized need to be in the database somewhere?
Yes.
Okay.
And we host the database. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias, un fuerte aplauso. Thank you very much, Joe. It's great. It's a great product. Ahora mismo estamos viendo un QR code para aquellos que sepan o que llegaron quizás un poco tarde. Este QR code aquí es donde usted va a poder entrar y lo va a llevar a un destino y usted va a poder votar y dar su opinión con respecto a los apps. Así que lo vamos a dejar un ratito a los que tienen el tiempo de poder escanearlo con su QR code. Ahora le toca el turno a una empresa llamada Tell Me Box, del señor Ricardo Aponte. Este servicio o este app va dirigido a empresas que brindan servicios y necesitan recopilar información al instante. Así que vamos a presentar ahora a Ricardo. Bienvenido, un fuerte aplauso. Compañías puertorriqueñas con productos hechos aquí y realmente estoy encantado, maravillado con lo que estamos viendo. Te toca, Ricardo.
Well, good evening. My name is Ricardo Aponte. I'm very glad to be here. I planned this to be in Spanish, but you know, knowing that there's a lot of English-speaking people, I'll start. This started like before, right? Yeah. So I'm going to talk to you about Tell Me Box. All right. Typically, business owners don't have the tools to know what their customers think about their company. They probably have a box. Oh, Okay, yeah, it's very sensible. I'm very sorry. They probably have a suggestion box that somebody writes some answers to some questions. That information goes into that box. That box is probably hang there like in a week, and then a week later, the owner gets all the submissions from the client. They go through them, and they probably find a sad story about a customer that had a negative experience. It's already too late. It's already too late. So you're trusting a box that's not effective, all right? So they probably leave without you not knowing what happened. So what happens there? You lose the moment. You lose to be effective. And you don't really know what happened until it's too late. There's much more work to be done to get the customer back. Actually, it's 6 to 7 times harder to get the customer back instead of just keeping it, okay? Every company needs its clients. Clients, companies without clients don't go anywhere, actually. And that's something very important that business owners have to get in. So we have a solution. There's Tell Me Box. Tell Me Box offers business owners the ability to create custom surveys so that they can interact immediately with the customer, right there, where they are, right there. So it's very easy. They just define a couple of questions. These questions have to be short. Like it has to be from 1 to 5 questions, not more than that, because then the customer will start asking, why is he doing this? So we've learned that going beyond 5, it's not efficient. So from 1 to 5 questions will be enough. I'm sorry, I'm having a lot of trouble with this. And then those questions get strategically located in different areas of the business. Like, depends on where your customers spend more time. It could probably be on the reception area, on the bathroom, probably on your tables, anywhere your customer mingle. So you can specify which type of questions go where. Like you want to ask a separate set of questions to people on the bar, you want to set questions to people on the tables eating, okay? So then the customer sits on the table, sits wherever, has his phone, his or her phone, and now that you know, with all the information that Norman and everybody has given you before, there's more opportunity for people to use their smartphones with the QR code scanner, scan this code that you already put in that place, and the customer gets the answers right on their phone, formatted for a mobile device, right there on the moment. You can then, right there on the same place, reward your customer for taking the time to fill out this information. Because why would they do that? I mean, why would they answer your questions? That they have to know that something else comes after that. And then one of the most important good features that it has is that if you're aware of what your customer is experiencing and you want to react to it, you can set specific alerts. So when somebody answers a specific question, like there's a fly in my soup, so you can that answer goes right through the manager, and the manager can go to the place where the survey was answered and take care of the problem right there. Okay. All this information gets tabulated instantly. You can go to the website. You can go in an iPad. You can go in an iPhone. You can see it from everywhere. They're tabulated instantly. So basically, that's the app. This app, this infrastructure can be used in many applications. It can be used in a supermarket. If you're looking for something that you don't find, you can place a QR code. When the person scans the code, you will ask, what product are you looking for that you don't find? You can write their answer. Somebody can come in and answer the question and help the person. Right now, you have a smartphone. While I'm finishing, I still have one minute to go. You can scan this code, and you will experience what the customer will really see. Okay, so you please answer the questions if you may. Typically, the customers for this app are very vast. It could be a restaurant, it could be anything that deserves for people to communicate with the business, all right? So I took less time than I expected. So if anybody has problems with the scan, let me know. You good? Somebody else there? If you're having problems, I can give you a card so you can scan it. You can pass it there. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's over, so thank you.
Is there any question? ¿Alguna pregunta? ¿Una pregunta por acá?
Yeah, I've seen this tool before. Different congressmen presented it to us at a workshop. We used it as the evaluation for the workshop. And I wanted to ask something that I wanted to ask him at that, but I didn't. And the question is, can any user construct their own questionnaire or their own questions, or does the company have to do that? Is that part of the service? Can you do it yourself?
Yeah, you can do it yourself, or you can ask us to do it for you. Either way, it has an interface that you can create everything by yourself.
And once you're able then to do it yourself, how are you able to collect the data? Like, for example, let's say you're a business person and you're trying to make like the perfect client survey. Can you still collect the data from different versions of your survey or change your questions?
Yes. Yes, we call it campaigns. A campaign has a start and a finish. So you can have a campaign for getting customer loyalty 1 month, and the second month you can get satisfaction, the third month a product in particular. So you can have as many campaigns as you like. It's targeted to different boxes on the place. It's very accessible. Actually, it varies from $100 to $120 a box per month. We're starting on that. Obviously, if we have enterprise deals, if you have more boxes that you need, we can scale it up. We're really starting to get this going, so we're like molding to everybody, to the market. So probably I want to make it accessible as more people as I can. So mom and pop shops can have this and really get a sense of the value of this tool. Correct. Yes, and that's a very good question. The thing is that there are a lot of people doing a lot of surveys. That's you have SurveyMonkey, you have a lot of people doing surveys. These surveys are short surveys to get just a quick glimpse of what your customer is thinking, so you can react. This is not a scientific survey that I can get what the people were thinking when they were drinking my beer. So it's not that type of business. It's just to get a sense of what is going on your business and react quickly. Okay, did I answer your question? All right, any more questions? No, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Ricardo. I'm going to speak English now, so everybody speaking English. Usually I speak English better with 2 or 3 wines in system, so this is a good idea for the next time. Half a liter of wine here. Well, I really love your apps. Thank you very much. Now we are going to have the next presenter is going to be Juan Carlos Velez. He is from Keynote Star. It's about music and virtual instrument. So let's see this app. Un aplauso, por favor. So he is going to have a demonstration here. We're setting up the instruments and everything here.
So this works forwards here? And it's very sensitive. Very sensitive? Okay. Hi, good night. I'm going to talk to you about simple music. Music is a natural delight for the human being, right? Music triggers memories. Music can even move generations if you look at the Beatles and all these bands, right? Let me see how this goes. You have to move the, press the button. Let me see how it goes. Okay, how do you, go ahead, go back. Okay, so what's about music? Music touches us emotionally. That's what Johnny Depp says. He says it goes beyond words. Then we have Confucius, back a long time ago, that Chinese philosopher. He says music produces a kind of pleasure which human nature cannot do without. So we need music. And then we go back to the present again, and we go to Eric Clapton, and he says something else. Maybe you cannot read it. It says, it goes straight to my nervous system. And look at this, making me feel 10 feet tall, right? That's what he says. So chances are that music does touch you, it touches you, and that music makes you experience pleasure. There's no doubt that some of us, or most of us, have experienced pleasure just listening to music. But also, chances are that you will not feel like Eric Clapton, that he feels 10 feet tall. I play the guitar myself, and I probably feel 6.5, perhaps, right? To experience that 10 feet tall, you have to play music. You have to know music. It is like this pleasure that is reserved for music players. And unless you have a pretty nice voice, or you were educated when you were a kid, it might be too late. Why? Because music instruments are way complicated. I myself am a mathematician, and when I look at these instruments, if I don't know about them, I play guitar. But I'm trying to figure out the piano, and it is not that easy. You have to learn 12 different ways of playing a song. And you have to spread your fingers apart. Go ahead. And you have to spread your fingers apart to play chords and all that. And then in the guitar, you have to move your fingers and do all this stuff. It becomes very hard to learn, especially when you are grown up. So what if there was actually a musical instrument that everyone could play or could learn easily, right? A music instrument that we develop is simple music. It looks complicated, doesn't look simple perhaps at first sight, but actually it is very simple to play. Why? Because we have taken all the keys that you have to spread your fingers apart, and we have put them together so that you are always playing a musical chord. No, I don't have to put it in live, but let me show you how I can play. Let me show you. With my hand, the same way, I can do all the chords around simple, and the keys are arranged to produce a harmonious series of sounds. Go for the next slide. So we have over 3,000 users, and what they say is that anyone can play, that I feel like a smart piano player, no experience necessary, and so on. People, at the end, they say it is ingenious to have this combination of sounds. Norman, go ahead. So what's new now, and why after launching the product, I'm presenting this to you? Because when I did the product back in the day, probably 2-3 years ago, I didn't patent that product, and I was like, well, I cannot do anything, I give it out to the world, that's it. But I found out a new way to arrange the keys, and a new thing that we could patent, that has been proven, that we have consulted, and it could be patented, and it could as well replace or substitute those little MIDI controllers that people use in their computers, and might complement what the piano is. Why? Because if you're not a piano player and you play any other instrument, chances are you'll not be able to use GarageBand that easily and play the thousands of instruments he has, because you just don't play piano. It is reserved for piano players. Everyone else is excluded from it. Even Eric Clapton, perhaps, if he doesn't play piano, right? So what we want to do is to take that product and that patent, and we want to produce a physical product. Right now, more than 3 years ago, we can do prototypes much easier with 3D printers and different things that are there now. And we want to be able to do that physical product And we want to take that product to the music industry, to the big guys, to Korg, to Yamaha, to Casio, to Akai, to M-Audio, and present them a well-developed product. We want to have musicians paid. So in this case, I have to pick piano players because they know the piano, and they'll be able to replicate very nice pieces. So we want to have musicians trained on the instrument, committed to the instrument, to play beautiful pieces and sell the product to the music industry. In the meantime, we are already developing a new version for the iOS. We're going to begin with Microsoft. We have a commitment with Intel to begin in December to build the product. We're going to build also in Android. And, right? So that's what we have. And can you move on? Because so yeah. And that's my team. They asked if we want to launch this quickly and do the July launch, we have to ask for some seed to put it this way. 5% for the patent, 15% for development, our marketing. Actually, the apps in the App Store, Google Play, and Windows are going to serve as a marketing arm for the physical instrument. Do the physical prototype, develop some musicians so that they can play very beautiful pieces on the piano, and then present it to the music industry. So, Norman, go to the next one. So what you get, I'm putting numbers here. This is very flexible. I said here 50% in 2 years, that's about a 22.5% a year when you put it, plus, it's not 25 actually, you multiply it, right? So, but especially you get a once in a lifetime chance to become part of the launch of a new music instruments. I don't know if many music instruments have been developed these days, right? We're still using the old guitar and the old piano. The instrument that might be the next music instrument that will revolutionize the music industry. My name is Juan Carlos Vélez. I'm a mechanical engineer, but above all, I'm a problem solver, and I want to solve the problem of people being able to play music. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, let me know your questions. Questions? Yes? Okay, in these downloads, the way we went is with freemium model, which is you download it for free and you get lots of users. We wanted to get exposure to the product. We want people to try it. And then we get upgrades from the download, so that's the way that it works. So in this case, we have already about 300,000 downloads on the free app with some upgrades. And we also have a baby app, which is Baby Chords, that uses the same kind of instrument arrangement of notes. And that one has already like 200,000 downloads, and it is going at 30,000 downloads per month. Without any marketing, none of the apps have any marketing or anything. So we're just exposing the product and see the feedback from the user. Yes. In this case, we have been doing different music apps. We did like a guitar app that what it does is that it knows chords and you form chords on your device. Although it's a small iPhone, you can pretty much do any chord, and it will recognize your fingers. It will interpret what you want to play, so it makes it much easier to play music in your devices. And this night, I wanted to concentrate on this guy here, because this guy is the only product that I can tell you that I have that takes it out of the mobile market and puts it into people's hands in physical instruments. And if you were ever going to the NAMM show, to the biggest music industry convention in the US, you'll see tons of these guys, tons of them, much smaller, much nicer, but tons of them with only probably 8 keys. So musicians are very limited. We can do, in a fifth of the size of a piano, we can arrange all the keys. And you can do spread of fingers. If you spread your hand, instead of doing from one C, let's say, to another C note, you can do probably 3 or 4 notes, levels with one hand. So it is very, very convenient arrangement of notes. Any other question? Okay, thank you very much.
Juan Carlos, thank you very much. It's great. I just love music, and I think it's very impressive how music sounds in the iPad. Well, the next presentation that we are going to have, how many of you now have like 5 receipts of Ibuloto? Everybody have a lot of receipt every day, every time. So now Mr. Pablo Tirado is going to present us an app and a solution. It's a local app about receipts. So let's see what we have here. Así que fuerte aplauso, ese aplauso. Woo.
Thank you. Give me 1 second to do a little technical thing here. There we go. All right, cool. All right, so can you be my lovely assistant instead of using the double thing? All right, so salesmen, they're an integral part of every company. They go out there, they find new clients, they sell your product, they go out there and make sure that people know who you are. And you know, constantly they have to do all sorts of, they need to spend money to be able to get you that money to sell for your company. And they usually need to fill out something like this. It's a monthly expense report. And to be able to fill that out, they need to keep receipts of everything that they did. And they end up with something like this. It's a box full of receipts that end up getting messed up in all sorts of different ways. They break, they get lost, they erase themselves because they're printed in really bad ink. So it's a problem. So our solution is Receipt Loader. Receipt Loader is a pretty simple app. Let me go to the demo. So all you need to do, let me see if I got a receipt on me. You go to the camera here. I don't have internet. I need internet access to be able to demo it. Well, I mean, let me go back to let me just go back to the presentation. I'll give you how it works. You take your picture of your receipt. It can be sideways. It can be a bad picture. It can have low light. It can be terrible in a lot of different ways. And it'll recognize where you purchased the thing that you purchased in your receipt, the date on it, the amount on it, and the category for it. And it'll take it out and add it to your database. Let me show you what I've got on mine. If we can switch back to a quick demo. So these are mine, right? So I can just go to this one that says McDonald's. And again, I need internet access, and I'm plugged to one that doesn't have internet access. But I end up with a feed like this that tells me everything that I've been purchasing in the last couple of weeks, days, whatever, depending on the receipts that I put up there. Let me go back to the. So we built a solution. We built it for Android, iOS, and Windows Phone, and the response was great. You know, the U.S. News and World Report, this app is more than worth the subscription fee. It can save you valuable time and ensure you don't forget expenses or lose receipts. Reception has been fantastic, and users are given Receipt Loader a rating of 4.5 stars out of 5. Daily Finance. The Receipt Loader app is great to track the store, amount, and category of your purchases. Daily Herald. And we got over 35,000 downloads of people who were interested in this app that really wanted it. Now, we ran into a couple of problems. Well, first of all, this is our team. That's me in the corner right there. That's 8 years of direct-to-company sales and in the web and mobile market. My brother, Francisco, who is a world-class developer for both web and mobile. And Jose Padilla, who is now part of the Blim team, who we hired straight out of high school. So we ran into a couple of problems. First of all, the pricing wasn't exactly what the market was looking for. Our base was $7, $23, and up to $42 a month. And we went into a market that was already kind of crowded when it went to straight to consumer. Shoebox was there, One Receipt was there. Lemon eventually pivoted out of it, but at the moment, it was there as well. So we learned a couple of things along the way. First of all, we were expensive. A lot of our clients, we listened to what they were telling us, and they told us, this needs to be integrated in my company's system to whatever they're already using to expense inside their companies. We also learned that the purchase data is valuable. The information that we're getting out of the receipts is valuable to companies that need this information to be able to figure out where people are buying the things that they're buying. And we learned that our engine rocks. A lot of the other engines out there take a day or even 2 to recognize the receipts. We recognize in about 2.5 minutes. So what do we want today? We're pivoting out of the straight-to-consumer market. we want to start doing corporate sales, which is what I do. In the years, I've sold to Fortune 500 companies, I've sold to large corporations, to government, to small corporations, any sort of company I've sold to. We want to license the engine. We have probably the best receipt recognition engine out there, and we want to license it to our competitors who could, have a better offering if they licensed our engine. And we want to sell the data. We're thinking about still offering the app straight on the iPhone, have it for free, and then sell the non-identifying information that we get out of those receipts to people who could do something with that data. So what do we want today? We're looking for investors who want to help us take this next step with us. We're going to need to redevelop a lot of the things that Receipt Loader does, so it'll be able to better fit the new model that we're working with. We're looking for mentors, people who know the space, people who know of clients who need stuff like this, people who can show us what the sort of problems that happen at this level, that knows the sort of problems that happen at this level. And we need clients. If your company is a company that needs this sort of thing, let us know, because I'd rather just build something for you guys than just take from your money for equity. And thanks. That's it for today. Thank you. Any questions? It's not. It's done server side, and it's a little bit of secret sauce right there. What we do for the recognition, yeah. Yeah, but we do it remotely. Anything else? So that was the problem where we were at. All the apps that are out there are all targeting the same market. It is a recurring payment. It's a monthly fee, and that was our problem, because we're jumping in the same space that everybody else was already in. So they do the recognition of the receipt, and then they give it straight to the consumer, and the consumer pays for the thing. Now, what we've seen is that this would be a better solution to sell to the company, and then have everybody in their team use the same application. So it'll be a solution that solves a problem for the company, instead of every single different person trying to find what their specific solution will be better for them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's the idea. So each one of these companies is going to have a different system, but all those systems that you mentioned have its form of API or SDK or way that I can plug directly into that. So the idea would be that I would get a company that would need this solution, this problem solved, and I would merge it into their existing system so that the receipts that are recognized over on our app read in the way that they need it on their side. Yeah, I mean, we've played around with them. That's the sort of next step that we're going into. All right, we got no more questions? I think I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Pablo. Also, I have a question. I see a ticket of $400 in Cocina Abierta. Oh my God, that was a party, right? Wow. You know that he's the guy of the tickets. So our next presentation will be Mr. Luis Alvarez in the app Vivetelo. It's a app is a solution for find places and tourism, right? So let's give applause and fuerte aplauso a Mr. Luis. Woo!
Good evening, everybody. For those who don't know me, I'm Luis. What is Vivetelo.com? Vivetelo.com, we are the solution for all tourists, local or outsiders, to get around and explore the island, designed to adapt to the world. How many of you have been in a weekend wandering with your family saying, I want to go to a certain part of the island and go out to dinner or see what hotels there are, what guest houses, inns? How many of you? How many of you have been wondering how to get around the island? Well, perfect. Vivetelo.com, we are what tourists need. for me, working in the industry for the past 4 years and being studying it for the past 10 years, I've noticed that people are less and less using, like paper stuff, like revista, magazines, little booklets, little cards. They're using that less and less. Why? Because what they do is they take it out to the pool. Once they get to their stool wet, they sit down, get it all wet. So what do they use it for? Trash. We are designed for the Android phones, tablets, iOS systems like iPhones and iPads, and regular personal computers. So let's say you go out and you're in your lounge chair or you're out with your family. You don't have a Que Pasa magazine because I need to plug it in. And Que Pasa magazine is charging the customer a lot of money for an ad that not everybody's gonna see. And let's face it, you go to the supermarket and you find a Que Pasa magazine for $5. Are you gonna pick it up, or are you gonna go to the nearest hotel you have? You're gonna get it for free, right? Well, this web app is free. Our platform, we are designed to reach the fastest growing population in the world, the Spanish-speaking community. Not only that, we're also in English for the English speaking community. We're going live. This is our application. As you can see, we also have spaces for advertisement, okay? We have restaurant, tours, guest houses, everything that everybody wants to see, okay? And I'm gonna show you how we work with it right now. You pick a category. After you pick a category, you pick which region you wanna visit, okay? Say you want to go north, south, east, you say it, we got it. Okay, we went to Metro. Now we're gonna pick one of the regions. Let's pick San Juan. Or Guaynabo. And you know, if you live in Guaynabo, you have to live in Guaynabo City or something like that. That's what they say. Okay, so now we pick one of these restaurants. And we pick Picalo. Any resemblance to that gentleman right there is just pure coincidence, okay? Picalo, then the restaurant pays to be in this site, this web application. You don't have to pay for it, okay? We are in a basis of using 3 points of interest. As you can see, you have to, they can advertise pictures of the restaurant, pictures of their food, and not only that, we give unlimited access to changing that throughout the year. You have a video, not of me, of the restaurant, and you can contact the restaurant, email the restaurant, go to their website if they have one. One of the things that not all of the restaurants in Puerto Rico or stores that are local, anything like that, not all of them have websites. So we are a tool for them to be able to advertise through the web. Okay, and also Google Maps, so you can, sorry about that, so you can locate the restaurant very easily. Thank you, Norman. Okay, what we need. What we need is we are looking for an investor in order to create an up and running sales force. Being in the industry, I do not want to make conflict of interest, right? I do know the area, it is my expertise, but we need to get a sales force up and running. For only $30,000, that partner will gain a 13% equity in the company. Okay, basing ourselves in the economy and how the economy is up and running and how it's a little bit shady these times of day, we base our model of business in getting the small business, medium-sized business, and big businesses in here so that everybody can know how to move around not only the island, but you can also do it outside of Puerto Rico. There are similar websites, but small businesses are our main focus due to that tourists, not only local, but also outside tourists, which can move around the island. Not everybody's looking for the same thing that you always come to visit. We have people in Puerto Rico that have been coming for the past 10, 15 years, and all they get from different tour companies and everything is the same thing. Hey, go to El Morro. Hey, go to San Cristobal. Condado is the high-end shopping area. No, go around the island and take it out to the next level. Anybody else? No more questions? Thank you. Vívetelo.
Thank you very much, Luis. Also, I can be a chinchorro scout. Yeah, a lot of people here love chinchorro, right? Or not? That is a section that I love. Well, I think that this is the end of the presentation. We want to say thank you to all of you, all the people that is watching us about in Tecnético.com, that is live streaming. Also, you have now opportunity to talk with this guy. I really feel very proud of these persons that are local companies. I think that we have a lot of bad news in Puerto Rico, but this is the best news that I ever heard in the past few months. So it's very important that you support these guys. And just talk with him, and we are going to have we don't have wines, right? No? just a little picadera. So have a good time. Thank you very much. My name is Obed Borrero, and have a great evening. Bye. And thank you to the organizer. Thank you very much for the team. This is great. This is a great event here, so I hope that we can see more events like this in Puerto Rico. Bye.
Bueno amigos, como ustedes han podido ver durante esta pasada hora y media aproximadamente, vimos, no 5, vimos 6 aplicaciones y ideas para el mundo móvil creadas en Puerto Rico que esperan por una oportunidad, y esto precisamente es lo que las personas que están detrás de mí, pues se espera que le puedan brindar eso mismo, una oportunidad, ya que pues se citaron a inversionistas del país y de fuera de Puerto Rico para que pues se evaluaran estas nuevas ideas, estos conceptos de aplicaciones móviles para una oportunidad de que se puedan desarrollar de la manera correcta y así pues prosperar. Esta ha sido una transmisión en vivo para Tecnético.com como parte de Tecnético en Vivo. Pausamos, pero a las 9 de la noche inicia entonces desde aquí, desde Puerto Rico Science and Technology Trust, nuestra edición como de costumbre de Tecnético en Vivo. Así que no se retiren para que puedan sintonizar entonces esta edición de Tecnético en Vivo. De parte de todo el equipo de Tecnético.com y de Norman Ortiz y todo su equipo que pues crearon este evento, el 2013 Mobile Apps Demo Showcase. Les damos las gracias por su sintonía y será hasta la próxima ocasión. En Tecnético.com pueden conseguir más información sobre todas las aplicaciones presentadas durante la noche de hoy. Muchas gracias y será hasta nuestra próxima edición especial. Y no se vayan, que a las 9 de la noche regresamos con la edición de hoy, de esta semana de Tecnético en Vivo.